If you guys are out there, girls, guys, and you're, hanging out with your childhood toys and your children, and you want to share in that nostalgia, you might want to be objective at first. Take into account, is your kid Andy from Toy Story, or is your kid Sid?
You mean that happy child?
Broken down again. You ladies have fun together. The B-Wing fighter really holds a special place in my heart because it was the last Star Wars fighter I ever bought as a child. I bought it in 1985 on clearance at Toys R Us.
We watch a lot of 80s cartoons here at Retroblasting, plenty of which I never saw as a kid. A lot of times, it's pretty painful for me to sit through, but this wasn't one of those times. I actually really enjoyed this cartoon. From the minute I hit the play button, it kind of pulled me back to the 80s on Saturday morning, camped out on the couch with my cereal and my PJs. It was pretty awesome.
Special guests include the Dukes of Hazzard themselves, John Schneider and Tom Wopat. And get your photo with the General Lee. And meet Collierville's hometown hero, Elliot Brown, our local G.I. Joe, known across the nation as Fast Draw. Knowing is half the battle, but with his own portable dual missile launcher, Fast Draw's the other half. Main thing to know is that if you can fix one TIE fighter, you can fix them all. Kenner made 4 distinct variants of the TIE fighter, and they're all different colors, and they all have slightly different wings. Well, 2 of them have slightly different wings, and 2 of them share the same wings. But the core cockpit assembly is the same. It's identical for every TIE fighter. So if you can get into this TIE fighter cockpit and fix it, you can fix any TIE fighter you encounter.
I strongly recommend that you do not trust him.
Thanks, Spock. Thanks for everything.
Live long and prosper.
Hey, you okay?
Yeah, I just got a funny feeling. Like I'm not gonna see him again.
I think you will.
After 10 years of waiting for the crew of the Enterprise to return, fans received a ploddingly slow plot, a bald chick with a voice like a throat microphone,
You are the cook unit.
and Captain Kirk acting like an incessant jerk the entire time.
Stop competing with me, Decker. I'm afraid you're going to have to double as science officer. I need you. I need you. Then why aren't you aboard? I'm replacing you as captain of the Enterprise.
Plus, everything was about units and orifices.
The Decker unit can assist you with much greater efficiency.
Eastman got bored one night at their studio and drew a turtle holding ninja weapons. A one-upsmanship contest ensued, and they started trying to better each other's drawings. They were poking fun at the ninja fad, but soon realized they had a real concept on their hands. So they self-published Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1 with a print run of only 3,000 copies. It was a black and white comic book, it was gritty, it was violent, it was about mutant turtles, and it sold out. The first step in this process was removing the original light bulb, which was dead. So we had to get the electronics out of the TIE Fighter. That's a little difficult because the light bulb and the wiring harness are actually blocked in by a small wall right here on the back of the panel. So you can't actually pull the light bulb out. At the factory, the light bulb was inserted first, and then a panel, which has the cannons sculpted on it, was epoxied onto the fuselage of the toy. So what we had to do was, through careful use of an X-Acto knife and some patience, we had to get this panel off in order to get a replacement wiring harness on the toy, which I acquired from another TIE Fighter. Kenner Star Wars launched in late 1977 and springboarded into the 1980s, but never quite made it to 1986. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles was launched by Playmates Toys in 1987 and blasted off in the 1990s, finally sputtering out in 1996. Like Star Wars, Ninja Turtles was an unexpected toy aisle success. And just like Star Wars, Ninja Turtles' success lasted far longer than anyone could have predicted. And there's one more similarity between Star Wars and Ninja Turtles. The toy line is huge. Like, really, really huge. The reason that I never opened my Y-Wing fighter growing up, which I still have in the Retroblasting archive, is because unlike many of the other Kenner toys from the entire line, the Y-Wing fighter actually has stickers that lay over the seam lines of the fuselage. So in order to get the Y-Wing fighter open, you have to sacrifice stickers to do so. In this case, thankfully, the stickers in question are already damaged. Kenner made Lando, Lobot, 2 different Bespin guards, Bespin Leia, C-3PO with removable limbs, Cloud Car pilots, Ugnaughts, and a Cloud Car. Not to mention Boba Fett's Slave 1, which came packed with Han Solo in carbonite. They even labeled their Luke Skywalker and Han Solo figures for the line as Bespin versions. That's like having a saddle, reins, and horseshoes, but no horse to put them on. We also used Retro Bright to get rid of some yellowing on the engine struts and the canopy, and we had to apply multiple coatings over a 24-hour period to make it look right. We don't like to use Retro Bright unless it's an extreme situation and there's no other way out. And when we do use it, we use it very conservatively because we don't really know in the long term what Retro Bright can do to plastic over time. So remember that when you're using it. Use it sparingly and only at times where the yellowing is extreme. In the story, Skeletor has somehow knocked He-Man unconscious. He awakens to find Skeletor's half of the Power Sword lying abandoned. He joins the swords and heads to Grayskull with Stratos to enter the castle to find its secrets. Once inside Grayskull, we learn that Skeletor is already there, that he has the real Power Swords and he left He-Man with fakes. All of it was a ruse to get He-Man inside Grayskull to destroy him. This doesn't make sense 100 ways from Sunday.
Hold your breath, everyone. Michael's about to say something positive. About Thundercats.
A sub-series of figures called Companions heralded the arrival of a ton of figures no one gave a crap about, like Robo-Burbles and Opposable Snarf. But hidden within the Companions line are the redone Wily twins, and the result stands out as possibly the 2 gems of the entire line.
He couldn't commit to one color, could he? Ugh, it's too much.
No, he's 5 separate parts. You put the other 4 lions on the black lion to make one robot. That's why he's 5 separate colors.
You put him together? Just now?
Well, I'm gonna need him assembled on camera, so yeah.
Are you saying you have time to put arms on Crayola-Bot while I remain incapacitated?
Yes.
Ugh.
Where are you going?
To start a fire.
Okay. If you burn the house down, you won't have anywhere to live. Overall, the Panosh line really planned everything backwards. They gave us a Voltron with no in-scale monster to pit against it. They gave us Zarkon's entire invasion fleet to attack the Castle of Lions playset, but gave us no soldiers of Eris to thwart Zarkon's army. When the Voltron Lions deploy, no one is left to defend the castle. When not crime fighting, Peter Parker and Bobby Drake constantly compete for the affections of Angelica Jones, better known as Firestar. There's a strange running subplot of who's dating who, and in some cases, girlfriend swapping. In one episode, Parker goes to a party hosted by his creepy unibrowed professor and takes Mona Osborne with him.
Mona Osborne?
The one I date.
That deserves a replay. Let's watch that again.
Mona Osborne?
The one I date.
So Iceman is dating Mona, but he's totally okay with Peter Parker dating Mona at the same time. The 2 guys also admit to each other their feelings for Firestar, but Iceman says fire and ice don't mix. That doesn't stop him from being a third wheel without a date, though.
The Bijou? Nah, I've seen that flick at the Bijou. Let's go to the Rialto.
Bobby, I've got a date with Peter tonight.
Oh, that's okay, I don't mind.
And the one on the far right is Tim's. You can see that Tim's is really far gone. Not just with the paint, but the fact that the legs are very loose. They're really wobbling around. We're gonna have to find a way to fix that. The chrome is worn off on his neck. He's just in a bad way. The simple green got off a lot of the paint, but underneath he was very discolored, so we put him through a Retro-Bright process and did further cleaning of his body with Magic Eraser.
And now we're going to apply a base coat of gloss Tester's enamel paint, and then we're going to top that off with the All-Clad. So let's get started.
And Melinda hand-matched the color of R5-D4's leg stripes and repainted them. R5's head details also received well-deserved touch-ups. I carefully attached a high-quality reproduction sticker, and thanks to some great advice from YouTuber and toy repair expert Toy Polloy, tightened up R5's leg joints with pipe thread sealing tape around the extensions. That's how good the result turned out to be. This R2 unit no longer has a bad motivator. When Tim's R5-D4 first arrived at our doorstep, we weren't sure if we'd be able to help it. It was in a bad way. As you saw, it was about as bad as a figure can get. But with a lot of hard work, a lot of research, and a lot of time, we were able to pull this little droid out of the fire. It is literally a phoenix risen from the ashes, and we couldn't be prouder with the result. We hope Tim is just as happy with it when he receives it.
To put the tail back in the pony, you're going to bend this sort of like this, and you're going to push it straight through the tail hole. It takes a little bit of doing. It's a good idea to go ahead and get some needle nose pliers, and with a little bit of effort you can reach right inside there and grab the tail. It never works as well on camera, so. Your goal is to pull it just enough through the neck that you can get your hands around it, but that it's not pulled all the way into the body. So now I'm going to wrap my zip tie around the tail. I'm actually going to go ahead and start the zip tie. Okay, so now I can trim this, and I don't actually, I guess I can try to use this. And I can just pull the tail back out.
A cargo truck was made for Indy so he could take off on the Arabian horse and chase down the stolen Ark of the Covenant. The truck was complete with a tow rope that allowed Indy to be dragged behind it, and with the flip of a switch get pulled forward as if he was crawling up the bullwhip to reach the truck. The doors were a little fragile, but overall, it was a cool toy. The showstopper has to be the Well of Souls. While considered a small playset when compared to other toy lines, the attention to detail is incredible. Kenner really hit a home run with this one. An intricately detailed base supported the shrine columns for the Ark, and the playset came complete with a rear breakaway wall that hides a mummy, the stone shroud for the Ark, carrying poles for the Ark, a grappling hook, a torch, tons of snakes, and the Ark itself in glorious vac metallized gold. We're going to try something new and different here at Retroblasting on this restoration. We're going to try and use the Novus plastic polish system to remove the deep scratches that are on this Nightraven. When I washed this Nightraven off, unfortunately there were massive scrapes and scratches on the body all along the aircraft. And it has to do with the way it was played with, and then the way it was in storage, probably laying under 20 or 30 other toys, and just getting moved around and beaten up. I want to try and minimize that a little bit if I can, and I've heard that some people have had success with the Novus system. When you think back to the earliest marketing for Voltron, you might remember that there were 3 Voltrons in stores. They were Roman numeralized, 1, 2, and 3, and that was because the concept was you had a Voltron of the near universe, You had a Voltron of the middle universe, and you had a Voltron of the far universe. But because of their new obsession with Beast King Go Lion, like they broke open the tapes, they started watching it. Their first reaction was, "This isn't the right show." Then they're like, "But it's awesome." So then they said, "No, we're going to make this show first. This is going to be the first show." And so they kind of changed the order in which they were going to produce the shows. They said that originally they were kind of producing Vehicle Voltron and Voltron Lion Force at the same time, but then they quickly just pushed on adapting Lion Force. You have people in this show getting whipped, maimed, stabbed, tortured, decapitated, crucified. There's implied rape, demonic frogs killing puppies, blood raining from the sky that sets everyone on fire, ninja commandos that kill women and children, villains drinking the blood of their enemies, forcing their enemies to drink the blood of their own people, cannibalism and forced cannibalism as people are made to eat their own dead, giant robots crushing people and eating them as food, characters willing to blow themselves up for a cause, and plain outright suicide. The one problem was they didn't give us a row beast of any importance. They gave us this row beast. And I'm thinking...
Use your imagination.
Yeah, I'm like, that's not going to work. Why would you do that? So they decided...
That does look like one you'd put in water and it would grow.
Yeah, so
I don't think that works, though.
So I grew up doing this with my Voltron. I just used the Rancor monster, and it was fine.